Welcome back, Blitzers and the Nerf clan. We are reviewing the E50 today, the E50 Tier 9 German tank, medium tank. I'm comparing it here initially to kick it off with the other key meds in the game. Looking at the E50, it's a pretty ordinary tank when you look at it across in terms of DPM, pen, alpha. The alpha is good, 350, but so are the others. Also, in terms of caliber, shell velocity, it is nothing that special. Aim time is very low, and dispersion is heavenly at 0.272 before the other stuff on there. It's a fast tank, but its power to weight is a bit lower. Quite a bit lower than everything else. And the other factors that it has are just at or average compared to its competitors and other tanks. My favorite, of course, here is the T54. You can see that it has the lowest win rate of all the Tier 9 mediums, and we'll talk a little bit about why that likely is, because there's a few factors with the E50, also known as the Flying Brick by Lek. I call it the little flying brick because I think the real flying brick is the E50M. It's Big Daddy Tier 10. The tank, we'll talk about its armor a little bit further in a second, but one thing I wanted to show here is the gun depression. There's a trick to this tank that's important, is the gun depression on the sides, and I know it's a little bit hard to see, is actually at -8. But however, you can see that there, but when you bring it forward to the front, it goes to -5. That's a huge difference. In the first replay of 2 that we'll see, I'm playing it, and you'll see how much I use the -8. But what that does is exposes your side, which doesn't have the best armor in the world. The tank, in terms of DPM, 24-24 for APCR, 36-36 for HE, which is 4 out of 10, one of the best in the game. For AP, it's 28-28, 220 pen, 350 alpha. A very good tank, but that's good. That's very good DPM overall. Velocity is a little bit lower for the German tank, but still with supercharge, it's 1560, which is great. As I mentioned, the gun handling is dreamy. 1.9 second base, aim time 0.244 dispersion, and very low dispersion when moving as well. It says -5 here, that's in the front, -8 on the sides. And mobility, it's very fast top speed, but again, it's slower on the power to weight. The armor of the tank is good up front. Look at the front armor, 210 plus there, even when head on. If you do angle it, you can get a much higher front plate at 400s, etc., and the lower plate to the high 200s, and even the side. Side armor is about 85 to 90, depending on the angle, so you shouldn't get HE too much. However, the thing that I would say there before going too much further is keep working this line. The E50M is one of the absolute best tanks, arguably best medium in the game, and it's better than the E50 in every single way, so it's definitely worth the grind. All right, first battle, Vineyards. Ronan driving. I am playing here, and sorry for the gyrations there. I am playing with the King of London, who brought his OBJ 704. It is a Tier 9 battle. There's a couple of Tier 8s. And I am doing at Vineyards. What we do at Vineyards is I'm initially doing some capping to get the spots, and I do spot most of these folks here through the cap area. I wasn't ever planning on staying here very long. May have even stayed here a second too long, and probably longer than I intended. But you can see their tortoises and the heavies went into town, which is not a great move in my opinion, but they did. There's that K91 he hits me for 361. I hit him for 350. That guy is a pest. He probably ruined my chance at a mastery for this one, but he did keep me on my toes and tunneled me effectively. So you can see heavies and pushed his town, and then the T54E1 and this FV, I'm sorry, it's not an FV, it's a Vickers CR. They came towards the ruins, which was a really dumb move. They split their team, and we kept our team, although they weren't the greatest team in the world, we kept them together. And that's really the difference here. So already clear the T54E1, and then this Vickers CR actually proves, unfortunately, why that tank is so good, because he, like most lights, would have just been annihilated in a bat chat or something here by me. But the Vickers has a really good cannon, also good gun depression, a good turret, and I really, unfortunately, bleed very heavily taking him out. I didn't have any help from this WZ-121 here either, as I'll point to later. But I realized quickly again that everyone is in town. I didn't know if anyone else was hiding around their spawn, so I went after this guy. I'm using my side gun depression, which is a key thing we talked about. The problem with using the side gun depression is you still have to show your side, and Vickers, with a very good tank and good pen, is beating me up. He's already hit me once, I believe, or twice, and I'm really needing to clear him there, but unfortunately I hit 339 on a low roll, which is unfortunate. Then this I guess it's a T34 too, I thought it was 121. Go ahead and hits me, lets me get hit, and then secures the kill, as some would say, which was totally unhelpful after he just sat there, but you know, that's kind of how it goes. I do realize at this point that I have 311 hit points, which is not enough to really stay out in the open, and I've got to take cover. So this tank has great front armor, and you got to use the cannon with this tank. And that's one thing that I don't often do. I need to do more often with is to actually snipe with it, just like I'm doing here. I don't have any hit points. I'm not going to do any good to my team dying. So I'm just trying to get some shots off. And I get, I think, nearly 2,000 damage doing this because it's got a tremendous cannon. And you're so, the front armor that it has and the speed, you can ram people so well with this tank. But you can also snipe, and this is just a different way to play. Use the -8 on the sides. And you can snipe people all day long. You got good pen, you got a great cannon. And what I'm seeing here, there's 4 of them. They're low hit points, but I'm trying not to die. And that's really the challenge here. The K91 keeps looking at me. This guy, I don't know what, he was just enamored with me or something. I do get a shot off on his lower plate there. Another low roll, thank you, RNGesus. But I'm trying to get him out, but every time I was kind of poking around the corner looking, I noticed that he was just staring at me, so it was something I was trying to avoid. Meanwhile, this tortoise looked at me as well, or was looking in my way, so I didn't charge him earlier. He dies, and there's K91. He bounces me, I think, for the 2nd or 3rd time. But anyway, it's really here a 6-on-3, so it should be an easy match. What I was just trying to do is create a good game and get some kills and show showcasing what this tank can do. So I'm trying to get shots in the K91 using my side gun depression, and that's the tricky part is when you're trying to use sun guide depression on a hill like this, you need a little hill in between you and the tank that you can move up against. I just didn't have that for a while, so I tried to use the bridge here, which is coming up, in order to get that gun depression. Took a little bit of a risk by pushing there. Bounced my shot. Probably could have aimed a bit better or faster. I noticed the K91 is yet again staring at me, so I just waited out, play a game of who has time to wait. I had a bunch of other teammates. He didn't, so eventually he turned. I pop him there, and then I move on, and I go ahead and get a couple of lucky kills here. I do get killed in the process. Some tanks were harmed in the making of this video. So overall, good game. Actually, very lucky kill there that I got on the E50. Thanks to the King of London for his help. And you can see this was an MC1 with 3,300 damage and 3 kills. I got some good spotting and other things as well along the way. The next replay is a better game by the Red Plague, and this game is in Mayan ruins, and Red is this is a truly tier 8 battle here, and he is not with necessarily the greatest of teams. Strangely enough for Red here, and this worked out in his favor. Red pushes left, asks for help, but his team is saying no. We are going to go to the I believe it is the A cap. I'll clear that up in a second. Actually, it's not on here, but I think it's the A cap, kind of the flat part of Mayan ruins, which is my least favorite part to go there. Some good swearing back and forth as well, and arguments about where we should go. Red is never shy and definitely makes the comment that I would have made is, yeah, let's just sit in the buildings and lose. But his team went there anyway, as you can see, all 5 of the heavies and a TD. Luckily for Red, some of the enemy team went there as well, which is the story here. So Red knows he is going to have to do a lot of work here to win, and that's actually what he ends up doing, which gets him the mastery. So the first, he sees a Progetto, gets an incredibly lucky shot there, and he gets that also because this tank is awesome. And you can see he really did have the reticule in the right spot. And then he pushes on a K91. K91s are just annoying tanks to kill, but they are killable, especially if you can line up some shots on them, but avoid their turrets. Got a K91 on the last one match. Red scratches that K91's turret, but they are flanked. He tries to get HE him in the back. You do not have the pen to do that, as he realizes and shoots AP, hits him again there, gets him down, and bounces a beautiful shot. And I think one thing that Red did a lot better than me here is use his front armor, because the front armor of the E50 is fantastic, and it really can bounce a tremendous amount of shots. It's basically the front armor of a heavy tank. And Red does that really well here. Uses this OBJ-252 as well. His teammate there gets a high roll of 438 into him. The K91 is focusing the 252, and Red clears him. So it is now a slight lead of 5-4 in the favor of the good guys, or some would call them Red's team. But you can see this thing is falling apart relatively quickly because their team is still organized, where the great geniuses from Red's team are quickly dying, and it's not looking that great. However, Red is trying desperately to clear that louver or to do something here to the E75. correctly, he runs out of the way. He got lucky there that he didn't get pounded. But he's got 1,700 hit points to spare. So he is going to go hard to the right, which I think is a good move. It's now 3-on-4. Red, things are getting a little bit more desperate here, but Red takes on a good player. You can tell by the platinum camo there from DDR. The guy was not as good as I thought, but he was a good player. In fact, Red gets, in my opinion, a little bit lucky that he does not get hit by that shot right there. I'm not sure where that went to. I think the guy shot maybe the Hori by accident. It's not really clear. But he cleared that 252, probably the kill of the game, because if he had stayed with those other two, that 252 would have taken him out. So now Red pushes against the louver, and gets, unfortunately, a very unlucky bounce. Meanwhile, the Hori that he has here, I don't know where this guy was the whole game, but he sure did show up now, and he's pushing like a lunatic. And I think Red realized that if he, this Hori dies, he's he's in a lot of trouble, and against 2 against 3. So he wisely starts getting some shots down on the E75, not a tank you'd want to face. You also have a VK100, so between a VK100 and E75, you have 2 tanks you really don't want to mess with unless you absolutely have to. And Red does a great job of, again, just back up. There's no need to rush this. You have collectively more hit points. Unfortunately, his friend there in the Hori seems to be somewhat aggressive. So Red repositions again, and I mean, this tank is not a fast or mobile tank, but it does move sufficiently fast that you can do things like this by getting repositioned. He uses the side armor, clears the louver in a beautiful shot, using APCR. And why not? Why not? Just a few credits, Red. Red used to be a guy who didn't shoot that many APCRs. And now he has started to, although he should have done that there. At this point, he's got a lot more hit points than this VK100 and a much higher DPM. So he gets one shot into him, knows he can reload, but the VK100 does the one thing that he could do is he moves forward, and Red did not get, you need the gun depression there, and Red did not do it. Oh, and he takes one more shot, gets a little bit lucky, although that would have been a huge roll, and clears the VK100. 4,000 damage done, 4,144, 5 kills, helped his rating a little bit. Terrific game by Red there, mastered the E50. And you can see that this was the WZ-112. Wasn't the greatest of players, but certainly wasn't bad. You can see Red damaged almost everyone on their team, and probably lost money like I always do in most tier 9s and 10s. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel.